didn't know who you were. You couldn't function. You couldn't put together a relationship that really related to who you were. All you could ever do was teach. You couldn't show up in the relationship that would make you connect to yourself. You couldn't show up in an adult relationship. If that meant you had to think of me as less than an adult, if that meant that we lived in a world where children were seen and unheard, but all you could do is teach me these skills that somehow led to independence in mental, in practices spiritually, in the leather planners, the pens, the coffee that can be going, the Pepsi that was there to replace it, to subsidize it, to break the rules, the cold, the lack of connection, the lack of feeling and betrayal, the lack of connecting to yourself when people were there to fill a void. You needed people to help you have relationship with children. Because your children couldn't be seen and heard if they had to be felt. You could hear your children. You never wanted to be in a world where they had to be seen and unheard. Hearing them was everything to you, but feeling your children was taking away your identity. Took away the space for you to feel the space for you too. Separate yourself from the world. Feeling your children meant that they were other people. Not a direct byproduct of who you are, but the offspring was what you couldn't figure out. Living in family, relationships with other people was what kept you from feeling safe or feeling creative, safe to create in a world where you didn't actually create. So you thought that fixing your brain, fixing your mind, fixing your feeling, fixing your state of being was the only way to fix the world around you, so that we could live in a world that you could grieve. But in this time, the decisions made under this state were just who has submitted attempts at putting the fire out in an emergency. You didn't realize that you created. You never had a chance to grow up properly. You never gave yourself a chance to create yourself. The leather planners, the notebooks, the pens were always there to track your bills, even track your feelings. The stacks of letters to communicate deeply and properly to others were always there, ready for you to send, ready for you to analyze. But the state of your feelings, the reflections, never reflected forward. The state never moved. You sit with everybody in different places, leaving behind a world you didn't create. And as you move on to your next life, as we say goodbye separately, not seeing each other, just you, we know that you'll go off and be the spiritual substance you've always wanted to be, and get out of the body that you never thought was enough. You get to get out of the mind, you get to get out of the brain that you never approved of. You don't have to deal with things in this world that represent sleep, a certain state of being that keeps things functional. You can go off in your spiritual energy as you've lived a long life, and you can create in spirit what the world ought to be for children, for a change. And you don't have to suffer anymore. You don't have to be disconnected from the things that you do, the actions that you take, the bad decisions. You don't have to feel guilty for hurting us or others anymore. You can go in peace out of this body, back, moving forward into your natural substance, floating, creating something new for a change. Maybe all those leather planners had something to teach, and now in spirit you can create something new. The modern, the future planner that we need as people to connect with ourselves, to track our lives, our experiences, our states of being, help us pay our bills. You were always looking this entire time with all your writing and poetry and planners and letters and pens and paper and organized systems and organized clutter, chaos. You were always looking to build something new anyway. So as you leave this earth in your next life, you now have the chance. After living a long life and having experience, and this is your past life, have a new chance to build something else, to build something new, to deepen the world that ought to be different. Maybe you couldn't create something new in this life. Maybe relationships didn't make sense to you in this life, but you can certainly create as the substance, the spirit that you are, without the limits of this world, without the limits of empathic understanding, without the biases of lack of empathy, but with the deepest of empathic connection, without results-driven objectivity, but yet with substance-driven results.